Hi, it's Alex. I want to take a look today at Luke 8:16 with a focus on the relationship of action and purpose. Action and purpose is a relationship between an action and the one that's intended to come as a result. And that's really the important thing you're looking for. I mean, we have the keywords like in order that, so that, maybe with a view to, or to the end that, or even lest is a wonderful keyword. But what we're looking for behind these keywords, because some of those keywords, for instance, are shared with the relationship of action and result. So with action and purpose, we're looking for intention, right? We're looking for purpose. Often God's purpose in the text, but it might be the intention or the purpose of someone in a parable or someone in the narrative. Looking for intention and purpose over against the natural consequence or just the natural result that we might see in the action-result relationship. In action-purpose, we're looking for intention. So let me give you an example of that here in Luke 8:16. No one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar or puts it under a bed, but puts it on a stand, so that, here's our main keywords we're looking for today, so that those who enter may see the light. So we see this so that, which points us seemingly to this idea of intention or purpose. Let me show you how I arced this or how I broke this down into its various propositions before I arc it and show you how I would define this according to the relationship between the propositions. The first proposition I have here is no one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar. You could, I suppose, take this phrase out, after lighting a lamp, because you do have a verb here, but it's nestled right in the middle of that phrase so nicely. I'm going to leave it there, being mindful of that this is the time frame that he's thinking of. But the point here is that no one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar. That's what he's trying to get to. And so that makes sense to me as one proposition. No one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar or puts it under a bed. Third proposition, but puts it on a stand, so that, here's our words of intention, purpose, so that those who enter may see the light. So, how would I arc this out? Well, the first thing I see is this simple alternate that's put here in these first two statements. No one, after lighting a lamp, covers it with a jar or puts it under a bed. So those are two examples of what people don't do with a candle, right? Or they don't do that with a lamp. So I'm going to label this as an alternative. Two examples of what people don't do. They don't do either of those things. But, he says, they do something else. Jesus says here in Luke 8. But they put it on a stand. Okay? So we have a further alternate. As opposed to two things that people don't do, here's something that everyone does, largely without even thinking about it, right? They put it on a stand, someplace that's going to give light in the room, so that, and this leads us to our statement of intention, of purpose, so that those who enter may see the light. So it's set off by this, these keywords, so that, and so this we have, and we can label this our action and purpose, because we begin to see our intention here in the words given to us, so that. The intention of the person lighting the lamp. So that 16D is not simply a consequence, right? It's not simply a consequence, although that's true. If you light a lamp, those who enter will be able to see the light. That is a consequence, but this is where action and purpose goes beyond action and result. It goes beyond mere consequence or natural result. It's even more to say that there's a purpose and intention that's being articulated here about the person who lit the lamp in the first place. Why did they light the lamp? So that those who enter may see the light. All right? So that's where we have to ask ourselves the difference between an action result and an action purpose. When we see these words, so that, is this simply a byproduct or the natural consequence of another action, or is there an intention that led to this action, that this action is meant to fulfill? Here, what we see is that behind the ministry and teaching of Jesus in this passage, as we're reading through Luke chapter 8, is the great intention and purpose of God, that in Jesus, God has spoken. And this word, this manifestation, is like light to people who have been living in darkness. And so Jesus is exhorting his listeners here, and for us, his readers, to consider the intention of the one who lit the lamp. In this case, God, who is speaking through Jesus in order to light up the world. Jesus is the light of the world. The intention so that those who enter may see the light here. And this is just a simple example, and you'll see this as a common relationship throughout Scripture. A simple example of the relationship of action and purpose. And this is how I would arc it out in Luke 8:16.